What is up, ladies and gentlemen, Gingo here, bringing back to you guys another Defiance video featuring on how to go about leveling up your eco grid. Now, if you don't know what your eco grid is, it is your skill tree for this game known as Defiance. Now, in order to get to it, I'm going to hit I here and then go over to eco grid. Now, you can see here they call it eco grid because, one, it looks like a grid, and two, you spend all your eco points that you get from leveling up throughout the game in order to get eco powers, which you can see here. You got your Decoy, Overcharge, Blur, as well as Cloak, and then you have these abilities on the side which just amplify your overall eco power ability. Now, the way to go about leveling up your eco grid throughout the game is basically something that you really have to take some thought into, depending on whether you're going for a multiplayer aspect or you're going for a single player one. Now, in terms of single player, you're probably going to want to go Cloak, while it gives you more survivability, as well as more DPS. Allows you to position yourself better in terms of like when you're running main missions, side missions, smaller arc falls, yada yada yada. Or you can go for Blur, which also gives you more melee damage, as well as gives you the mobility in order to position yourself accordingly. You gotta have tight escapes, yada yada yada, or pick up anyone that's down if you do happen to catch someone in your side mission or just running a smaller arc fall or something like that. In the terms of having a multiplayer aspect, I'd recommend going for Overcharge. Overcharge will amplify your damage for those high level bosses as well as mobs. Get rid of that reload time, as well as being able to give you 100% accuracy, just making your gun completely accurate depending on what you're using. Excuse me. And then you have Decoy, which is also good for multiplayer due to the fact that if anyone is down, you can throw Decoy out, get them up. If you want to reposition yourself, you could swap your Decoy. If you want to throw your Decoy on top of a box and then just go to town with grenades, rocket launchers, anything that does splash damage AoE, basically, by all means, you could do that perfectly with Decoy. As you can see here, though, these abilities that are here, basically, like I said, they amplify your overall eco power, which is either Decoy, Cloak, Overcharge, or Blur. Now, the first ability that you actually want to get from the side abilities here is the ability, depending on what ability you're going. So, let's take, for example, I'm using Cloak. So, if I'm going to get Cloak, I'm going to max it, of course. I'm going to have 5 points in the Cloak, and then I'm going to grab any ability that actually says the word Cloak in it. So, I get increased Cloak duration, then you got you deal more damage while cloaked, and I think there's another Cloak ability as well. Reduce the recharge time of Cloak. So basically, all those abilities that have the word Cloak in it, you want to get for Cloak alone, and then you want to start building around that. Basically, what you want to do after that, you want to take into consideration, okay, do I want more DPS? Do I want more survivability? Do I want no downtime? And basically, the way I go for my Cloak build, I go 0 downtime pretty much, but in all honesty, if you really want an in-depth guide on how I do my Cloak build, I'll link a description to that build in... I'll link the build in the description, and then you guys can check that video out for yourself. I also have a build of the Overcharge as well, and then I'm going to put out a Blur build, and then I'm probably going to link that in the description as well. And for the Decoy, I'll have that a little bit later. No one honestly uses Decoy, in all honesty. It's good if you know how to use it, I would say, but you really got to take into consideration on how you want to use it. It's very confusing. You have to use it to its full potential with like the swap and everything and the positioning. It's really annoying, but once you actually do get it set up, it can be very powerful, depending on what situation you are in. But after that, like Overcharge, what I do, another thing is, like, depending on what type of weapon I'm using, I will base the build around that weapon. So for instance, I'm using assault rifles. Overcharge is going to get rid of my accuracy for the assault rifle entirely. So you can see right now I'm shooting and whatnot. It's not completely accurate from a distance, but it's still pretty accurate nonetheless. And then you can see right now, if I shoot off a little bit, my clip size is at 11, right? It's telling me to reload. You can see it down there right under my crosshair. If I activate Overcharge, boom, I get an instant reload, 0 accuracy, and then of course I get a faster reload time, and then amplified as damage as well. And basically every time I get a kill, I get the extension on the Overcharge one. It's just really good, especially for multiplayer runs like major arc falls, incursions, yada yada, anything that has a mass variety of people, because of the fact that it allows me to keep it up most of the time. I know I can get more damage out of it, as well as being able to get headshots easier, which gives me more critical points that I can actually hit, allowing me to increase my damage even more from that, and then having no downtime with either reloading or just basically I think the weapon swap too is also faster. Everything is just so much faster. And then I'm sorry guys, I've had a little bit of a cold, but so you're probably gonna hear me hicking up throughout this video, but nonetheless, basically it's just really good because of the fact that it's practically always up. It's always going to give me that increased damage up by a lot, and that's really something you have to look into when you're going throughout a build. You don't just want, depending on what you're going for, you want to get the top DPS, the top survivability, the top this, the top that. Like for instance, my not my cloak. Well, my cloak build. This is my cloak build right here. If I swap to it real quick. Oh, and if you didn't know, here's a little tip. If you hold Q, you can actually swap between each build accordingly if you just circle around your mouse, which is really, really nice. They added that just recently, which I really, really like. But anyway, if you do swap though, you do have that bar that you have to kind of deal with. So yeah, it's a little annoying. But disregarding that fact, if I like pop stealth here, see my character goes in stealth, and then you know I got the shot, reload, yada yada yada. It's pretty much I go into full detail in my actual build video on how this actually works and benefits, but basically it's built around the weapon. And basically that's kind of what you want to do. Once you get your build set up to a point of where, okay, you know, you're pretty good with it, you're pretty decent with it, okay, how can I build it around this weapon in order to amplify the damage? For instance, my blur build is built around my my Caston blade. Of course, because it does more melee. But also, when my blur is down, I also have increase. I don't lose any mobility at all when my blur is actually down. And the damage output is still really good, even though my blur is down. But I'll be, again, you'll be able to check out that video in the description once it's done. But, yeah, that's pretty much it, guys, about this. And in terms of going out through the eco grid, there is one thing that a lot of people have done, I noticed, is that get random abilities just for the hell of it. Just try to get to the next, ability, so to speak, trying to get to the next eco power ability, and just being able to be you know, being able to use all the abilities and then be like, alright, let me figure out what the hell I want to do after that. But basically in hindsight, what you really want to do is you want to pick one eco power, whether it's a power for soloing or whether it's a power for multiplayer content, and then after that you either want to go, if you pick a solo power, you want to go to a multiplayer one after that. So for instance, you go cloak, you're going to want to go overcharge. Or if you go overcharge, you're going to either want to go blur or cloak. It's really depending on which one you start out with. Like if you're going to start out with a multiplayer ego power ability, you're going to want to go for a single player power ability. So it balances out later on, and you're not kind of stuck between having two solo specs but no multiplayer specs, because then that leaves you out on a lot of the overall huge missions, like the major arc falls or anything, the incursions, anything like that. Just due to the fact that you can't really do as much DPS, or you don't have enough survivability in order to actually get through them properly. Now, basically, in all honesty, what you kind of want to do is you kind of want to plan it out. Like, it's a grid. So, basically, what you want to do is plan out how you want to do it. Like, don't just take random abilities just for the hell of it. Every ability, like, all these abilities here, I pretty much use throughout the entire thing. All these abilities I have here, I'm pretty much using. There's only maybe a few that I don't use. Like, these two I don't use, or, like, these two I'm not going to use, of course. But, you know, the rest of them I do. Like, all the ones that are pretty much max, I use these abilities. And in all honesty, each of these abilities just lead me to the next ability that I need in order to amplify my survivability or damage output with that certain build, and allowing it an extra bonus, and allows me to get to the next eco power ability, which then from there I can do a whole nother build, and then from there I just do the same thing to the next eco power ability. So in the sense, I'm not actually wasting any eco points because of the fact that I actually have it set up the way it's supposed to. It's a grid. You might as well set it up as a grid. So for instance, just, well, not for instance, but basically all I'm trying to say is don't just throw points willy-nilly, whatever, anywhere. Put them the way you want to put them. Like, if you have an extra, oh, it's only an extra 3 points, whatever, sitting on the side or whatever, respect. You have, it only costs you script, or I think, yeah, it only costs you a few script to respect. Because I think, I'm not going to do it. I don't remember if it comes up with a thing or not. I haven't done it in a really long time. And I don't have a picture of this or whatever. But before you do it, I take a picture with your phone or screenshot it or whatever. And then I'd respect, in case, you know, you're trying out stuff or whatnot. But, pretty much just play around with it. Respect as many times as you want. It's like, it's not even that much money in all honesty. And then just play around what you feel, you know, you want to do, or play around with each eco power, feel like which one's more comfortable for your type of playstyle, and then just run with it, let it carry you enough, and then eventually you'll just have enough eco points anyway to go up to the next one. And then from there you can kind of switch between the other three. Now the thing is about thing is about Overcharge is that it's not a really good solo player spec. The reason being for it is it gives you no mobility, so it doesn't really give you any form of survivability. Like Cloak gives you survivability as well as Blur because you have the mobility, and then the Cloak, you're undetected, so it gives you more survivability. Now, Overcharge can be used for a solo player aspect. I'm not saying it can't. I'm just saying it's not as good as whether you're using Cloak or Blur, so to speak, or even, I'm not gonna say Decoy. If you use Decoy right, it really depends on what type of mission you're running, in all honesty. But yep, but that is pretty much all I want to say about that, guys. If you guys want like advanced builds on like whether it's Overcharge, whether it's the Blur, or whether it's Cloak, I have 3 of those builds. I'm going to be doing, oh excuse me while I can, I'm going to be doing a Blur build later on. I will link that in the description of this build along with my Cloak as well as the Overcharge build. And then the Decoy will come out in the near future, but let's be honest, no one actually uses Decoy at all. So I'm not going to put a huge rush on that build, but I will, it will be out, and once it is out I will also link it in the description of this video as well. But that is pretty much it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and hope you guys learned something, possibly a thing or two, and you'll be able to use this in order to actually improve your Defiance gameplay, or just improve your Defiance experience throughout the game. But yep, that is pretty much it, guys. My name is Chaotic Kingle. If you haven't already, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys real soon. Later.